Good morning, Periscope. Happy Tuesday. Thanks for joining. Good morning. I know I look crazy, but it is for an ugly sweater contest today, so please forgive me. Good morning. How's everyone doing today? Good morning, Joe King. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Tanya. How are you? Good morning. Good morning, Nietzsche. Good morning, Culture Shifter. Thank you for inviting followers. Good morning, Molly. Good morning, Derby Line. Good morning, Mel. Good morning, TK Haskin from Germany. Good morning, Duchess Janalee. Good morning, LaQuina Tai. Good morning, Joyce. How are you? Thank you for putting on my periscopes on YouTube. Thank you. Everyone's going to be so scared on my periscope today. I apologize. Hey, good morning, Nikki. How are you? Good morning, good morning. How's everyone doing? Good morning. Thank you, Life Nation, Carefree, and a Lady of Valor for inviting followers. Yes, I have the real spirit of Christmas. Oh, Lord. Okay, I hope people are probably joining and then just leaving because they're very scared. Oh, okay, so here's my, I'll let you guys see my sweater. Here's my ugly sweater. We may want to pause the comments for the moment so people can see it. I do have socks on my sweater. It's pretty sweet. I don't know if you'll be able to see the back in the mirror. No, not really. Yeah, so here's my ugly sweater. I'm on the activities committee at my job, and our role is to raise Christmas spirit. So, or holiday spirit, because you can't say Christmas in the workplace. So this is my ugly sweater for my ugly sweater contest. Don't worry, I do have socks, Christmas socks on my arms. Oh yeah, I look like a Christmas tree. Woohoo! Good morning, Christy. How are you? Okay, so there's my sweater. You guys can see it. Okay, sir, you are about to be blocked. If I can catch it. Okay, I couldn't catch him. Well, okay. Good morning. So how is everyone doing today? Happy Tuesday. This is my ugly sweater for my ugly sweater contest today at work. So I have a little bit. Okay, sir. Goodbye. You are blocked. Okay. So this is my ugly sweater for my ugly sweater contest. So I have a story for you guys, and then I'm just going to briefly share. I'm sorry I'm a little late. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started, and I promise there is a point to this story. So this morning I woke up and I was preparing for my Periscope, and then an email came across my work computer saying that a reminder that today was the ugly sweater contest, and I'm on the activities committee, so the whole ugly sweater idea was actually my idea. So I can't believe that I completely forgot that today was the ugly sweater Christmas party. I forgot, but I was like, I cannot go or show up without wearing an ugly sweater because the whole thing was my idea. So I found this sweater in my closet, and me and my mom were pulling stuff off of my off of our Christmas tree, like, just put it on me, just hang it on me. So anyways, needless to say, I usually either prepare my periscopes the night before or this morning, but I was at the gym last night because I really missed the gym. So I was going to prepare my periscope this morning, and then when I realized the ugly Christmas sweater party was today, I did not have any time to prepare a periscope. But as I was, making my sweater, and even as I was getting ready afterwards, I was feeling bad, like, God, I promised these people 25 days of wisdom. I don't have any time to prepare scripture, to prepare a message. What are you saying, God? So I think it was just one of those moments where God was kind of like, don't you remember what I've taught you basically throughout the duration of 2015? And that is that life often does not go as planned. So what I want to talk about this morning, I don't have 15 scriptures as usual or some scientific study, but I just have real life practicality for you guys. So this morning I'm just going to be real, and I'm just going to kind of share what God has taught me over the last year. So I think if some of you have heard my testimony over the last year, it's very needless to say that I have learned that life does not go the way you plan it to. Nobody could have probably paid me enough money to believe that at 24, I would be divorced, that at 24, I would be living in Chicago when I'm from Indiana, that at 24, I would be a children's pastor. I mean, some of these things are good. You know, sometimes life doesn't go the way we expect it to, and it works out for the best, but then other times life doesn't go the way we expect it to, and it sucks, and it hurts, and we're confused, and we become angry with God. And you know, about a year or 2 years ago, when all of this kind of started going on in my life, I remember being so angry with God because I felt like I had been faithful to Him. I had prayed, I had fasted, I didn't want what was going on in my life, but it happened anyways. And this is what we have to begin to understand about life, is sometimes things are going to happen the way we didn't plan, the way we don't want them to go, you know, and we just have to understand, and it's okay. I think we need to begin to be honest and be transparent that sometimes we have moments where we really are tempted to be mad at God, or sometimes transparently we just have moments where we are mad at God, where things didn't go the way we expected. I'm here to tell you that I fasted and that I prayed for hours and believed God 2 years ago to save my marriage. I really believe that was the will of God, but it didn't end up happening. You know, I ended up getting a divorce, and I fought against it, and finally when he served me divorce papers, I had no choice. But what I had to understand is that I think sometimes we worship the idea of a fairy tale ending and of things going the way we think they should. And when things don't go the way we should, we get upset at God and we began to question Him. And we began to even question, is God real? Is the life that I've chosen for myself the right life? But what I'm here to tell you guys is things aren't always going to look like a cookie cutter, and you're not always going to get that fairy tale ending. But what I can stand here 2 years later and promise you guys is this, is that God truly does work together in all things for our good. So, 2 years ago, was I excited? Did I think it was the will of God for me to get divorced? Absolutely not. But 2 years later, can I say that God has used it to completely transform my life? I still will never believe or concede to the idea that divorce is the will of God. I don't think it's ever the will of God. However, God was able to work through it for my good. And I can stand here 2 years later and tell you I'm the happiest I've ever been. And what God did through that divorce is He taught me not to worship my plans. He taught me not to worship the idea of a perfect life. He taught me not to worship a man. He taught me not to worship the affirmation from a man, a validation from a man. He taught me not to find my identity in men, because as women and as people in general, it's so tempting to begin to find our identity, find our validation, find affirmation in the approval of people, in life going the way we believe it should. We think when life is going good that God is rewarding us, and when life is going bad that God is punishing us. But I'm here to tell you today that when life is going bad, it's often not because God is punishing you, unless you're walking blatantly in sin, and then He's still not punishing you. You're just reaping the consequences of sin. But God is not here to punish us. God is here to teach us. And the reason He wants to teach us is because He desires to get us to a place of wholeness. Because until we can come to a place of wholeness, and until we can become a whole being, He can't fully use us, and we'll never fully be happy. So it's so funny for me to say this, but 2 years later, standing on the other side of a divorce, I'll tell you I'm the most whole I've ever been, and I'm the most happy I've ever been, simply because God was able to use this to teach me not to worship my plans, not to worship the idea of a perfect life, not to worship the idea of things going the way I think they should, not to worship validation or find my identity in a man. And that's what I've learned these past 2 years. So, this morning, as it did, today, Tuesday morning did not go the way I wanted it to, did not go the way I planned. I didn't have time to prepare the way I wanted to, come up with some great message with 10 scriptures the way I wanted to. But instead, what God was able to tell me and reiterate me and humble me through was that it's not about me. It's not about my plans going perfectly the way I want them to. It's about trusting Him. Jeremiah 29:11 is one of my favorite scriptures, and I know it's a scripture that's quoted a lot, but I love it. And it promises us, it's a great promise from God. And it says, I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, and plans to give you a hope and a future. And one thing that God's really revealed to me about that scripture over this past year is it doesn't say that I'll tell you my plans. It doesn't say that you will know the plans. It simply says, I know. So God knows the plans he has for you. Another one of my favorite scriptures is when he promises us that he's working together in all things for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purposes. So right there we see he's able to work together in all things. So when things don't feel good, when things don't look good, when things don't go the way they are planned to go, when things look like they're actually turning out terrible, we have to remind ourselves and believe that God truly is working together in all things, even when it doesn't feel good, even when it doesn't look good, even when it's not our plans and our ways. We have to know that he has plans for us. This is why it says that man can plan his ways, but it is God who orders his steps. Because even though we may have plans and ideas, we have to get to a place where we worship God more than the perfect life, more than always getting our way. We have to come to a place of maturity where we're not a child who jumps up and down and stomps our feet and cries and lays on the floor and plays the victim role when life doesn't go the way we want it to. We have to understand that there's going to come a time, there's going to come a place, and there's going to come a spot where we're going to be in a position where we have to decide, are we going to worship God or are we going to worship our plans? Because at the end of the day, one thing has to prevail. And it's a hard choice. And I think every great person, if you believe that you are called for greatness, if you have a destiny, if you are anointed for anything, it's not an if this time will come, it's a when. It will happen. Think about Jesus in the garden. I believe that before he went to the cross, that was his time to choose whether he was going to worship, the idea of a better plan he had or worship God. He said, God, if there be any way, please remove this cup from me. Take this portion from me. If there is any way around the cross, please reveal it. But we know that finally, after literally the Bible says sweating blood, Jesus came to a place where he said, nevertheless, not my will, but thy will be done. And I think that's the place that we all have to get to in our life, where we'll say, nevertheless, whether it's a divorce, nevertheless, whether you're losing your job, nevertheless, whether your friends have left you, nevertheless, whether all your money's gone, nevertheless, whether you're failing, school, whatever it may be, nevertheless, if a business plan fails, not thy will, but my will be done. So that's it. That's simply it, is we're going to have to get to a place in life where we no longer worship our plans, no longer worship the idea of things going the way we want them to, but instead say, hey, this isn't adding up. This doesn't look good, but I believe that if I'm faithful, that eventually I'll reap double whatever it is that the devil stole from me. We have to understand that when Job was being tested, it wasn't because God was punishing him. It was because God knew that he would show himself faithful. God knew that he would prove the devil wrong. And on the other side of Job's greatest test in life, where he had to say, this sucks, this looks like I'm being punished, everything in my life has gone wrong, this is not how it should have gone according to plans, I've been a faithful man, but nevertheless, let me begin to worship God, focus on the good, pray for those around me. And what do we know about Job? He received double what he already had before. So Job was already a millionaire beforehand. He went through some testing and God made him a billionaire. So what we have to understand is we have to stop playing the victim role and believe that God is punishing us every time life doesn't go the way according to our plans, and understand that if we show ourselves faithful, there is a law of reaping and of sowing. So if you sow in faithfulness, God is not a liar. God is not unmoved. God is unmoved, and he is unchangeable. He will show himself faithful to you. So we've got to be able to endure these tests. We've got to be able to pass these tests of understanding that it's not about us. It's not about our ideas. It's not about what we feel like is a good idea or life going the way we think it should. It's about us submitting to God, coming to a place in our maturity, coming to a place in our walk, and coming to a place in our faith where we say, God, thy will be done, not my will. And even if this doesn't look perfect, I believe you're working together in all things for my good. And I believe if you ever want to get to a place of maturity in your Christian walk or in your life, you'll have to pass this test. So know, that if life isn't going the way you want it to right now, if life looks pure like hell, if you feel like God is punishing you, that's not who God is, and you need to know who God is. He's not punishing you. He's trying to teach you something because he's invested in you. You know, one of the biggest things that my divorce did for me is it delivered me from the need of affirmation and validation from a man or from people. I was so bound by trying to please people to find my identity in their affirmation that I never got from my father, that I was going to go the rest of my life doing what people said and doing what I thought would please people rather than pleasing God. So what God used, the worst thing that's ever happened to me in my entire life, out of that came my greatest deliverance. I am more free than I've ever been. And I don't think God was limited to have to use that. But you know what? I'm happy that he was able to use it. And I'm happy that on the other side of this, I'm the most happy I've ever been. I'm the most full and whole I've ever been. And now I'm truly free to do and be what God has called me to do and who God has called me to do, because I don't care what people think anymore. I care in a sense that I do want to, obey those who are my mentors. I do want to heed wisdom. I am correctable and teachable. However, I don't do things now. I'm not bound to the acceptance and pleasing of men. So now I'm free. So maybe if you're going through a huge test, know that God just simply wants to deliver you. That's his investment in seeing you whole and seeing you free. So that's my little tidbit today. That is day 15 of 25 days of wisdom. It will come to a place, and it's not an if, it's a when, if you want to grow and mature in your Christian walk, where you will have to be willing and okay with saying nevertheless, 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 not my will, but thy will be done. And there will come a time where it will be tested. Do you worship your idea of a plan, or do you worship God? And the sad thing is that I've met so many people in life with the very reason that they walked away from God. One of the people I was most close with in life, the very reason he walked away from God was because life didn't look the way he thought it was going to. He would say things like, I've been so faithful to God. I love God so much. I feel like I've done everything he asked, and now my life looks like this. And to this day, he's still not serving God. That was one of my really good friends. So we just have to understand that we can't allow that to make us bitter, because what the devil wants to do is he wants to make us blind to what God is doing, blind to how God is working on our behalf, and make us quit before we get to the other side of that promise. So I'm encouraging you guys today, if you're fighting right now, if you're discouraged right now, if you're going through hell right now, keep on going, because on the other side of this test is a promise, is fruit, is deliverance, is wholeness, and is freedom. And don't let the devil get you so distracted by the temporary that you miss out on the fruit, because the Bible tells us that if we do not grow weary, that in due season we shall reap a harvest. So don't grow weary in doing good. Don't grow weary in having faith. Don't grow weary in walking on water simply because the waves are rising. God is bigger than anything and everything. He is the God who tells the sun to rise, the sun to set, places the stars in the sky. He is bigger and he is in control. So we need to yield and submit ourselves to him and trust him. Don't get in that place of being stuck because life doesn't look the way you want it to, because what's happening is the devil is sowing seeds to eventually, you'll walk away from God because you'll be so mad that your plans in your life didn't go the way you wanted it to. But 2 years later, I can sit here and tell you, out of one of the worst things that's ever happened to me, my life is better now than I ever dreamed it would be. So God has turned it. God has done a 360. I was talking to my spiritual parents on Sunday, and I was talking to them, and they just told me, we're so proud of you, because we have seen God do a complete circle, a 180, I guess, because turn the exact opposite way in your life. So it's possible. It is possible to have the worst possible thing happen to you and still allow God to use that to get you the most free, the most whole, the happiest, the most content, the most excited for life. And I'll tell you guys, even though I've gone through a divorce, I don't allow that shame to hinder me any longer. I'm not afraid to tell my story. I am completely healed, completely whole from it. And I'm still believing God for the promise that he does have a great husband for me, a great man for me. I'm okay in my singleness, happy in my singleness, but I'm still believing God that one day in his perfect timing, whenever he sees fit, that he will bring the right man into my life. So even though this promise is one that the devil used to try to destroy me, I believe in God that one day he'll restore that and that I'll be walking in the fullness of being a wife. I will be a wife again. You know what? Someone will be okay with what I've gone through. Someone will be okay with my past. And I believe that the next man I'm with, that it will be a true man of God who will be faithful and who will never leave me. So I'm still believing God for that. I'm not bitter, like, oh, I'm going to be single for the rest of my life now because I don't trust no man. No, I trust people. I love people. I trust men. I'm not angry at men. I don't have a hatred for men. I know that one day that God will give me a man, will give me a husband, and I'm okay with however long it takes. I'm okay with being single, pursuing my life. I have a whole life to live. I have a whole purpose and a destiny to concern myself with. So God's got the whole other part under control. And whenever he feels like bringing the man into my life, I'm ready. I'm ready now. I'm whole now. I'm healed now. So I'm just going to wait on God. Waiting time is not wasted time. So be encouraged by that too. So, all right, this is day 15 of 25 days of wisdom. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know I usually give about 15 scriptures and, all this scientific proof and backing. But hey, this was what I wanted to share today. It's something God reminded me this morning as my plans did not go the way I wanted them to. But it's okay because I'm sure someone needed to hear this message. Someone needed to be encouraged by this. And any opportunity I get to share my testimony and to tell on the devil that he's petty and that his plan didn't work and that I'm better than I've ever been, I will do it. So that's my testimony. God has used my test to give me a testimony. He's used my mess, as Joyce Meyer says, to turn it into my message. So I'm free. I'm real. I'll tell you guys all about my past. I don't care because I'm whole, healed, and I am moving forward. So I love you guys. I hope you were blessed by my testimony, my story, and just by the fact that, we don't want to worship our plans or ideas. We want to worship God. So when plans don't go the way you want them to go, worship God. He's going to work it out. It's okay. So, all right. I love you guys. Happy Tuesday. For all of you who didn't get to see, here is my ugly sweater. Hey. So, yeah, this morning did not go the way I planned it to, but hey, I don't care. I'm good. I'm happy. I'm jiving. I got a cute sweater. Woohoo, I made it. Took everything off my tree, my poor tree. Stole it from there, and it is on my sweater. So, hope you guys enjoy my ugly sweater. Enjoyed today's Periscope. Please have an awesome Tuesday. Have an awesome rest of your day. And I need the saints to go ahead and intercede on my behalf. If you are a prayer warrior, if you are a person of prayer, I need you to intercede that I get first place in this ugly sweater contest. And if I get first place, I'll come back on and brag tonight and be real excited. So, pray, intercede on my behalf that I win this ugly sweater contest, okay? Awesome. So have a great Tuesday. I love you guys. If you love this Periscope, feel free to share it with friends and family. Visit my website as people are commenting in the comments, wisdomisthenewblack.com. I got some Facebook messages that people would like to see some of my old messages. Thank you to Joyce, who I believe is maybe still on this broadcast. She puts all of my Periscopes on YouTube for me. I need to sew into her. She's amazing. So just go type my first and last name into YouTube and you'll find a whole bunch of my Periscopes, Monica Vandeney. So thank you, Joyce. We love you, Joyce. And I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day. One more snapshot of this sweater. If you guys could just go ahead and lay hands on my sweater in the spirit and just declare and decree that it is a first place winner. In Jesus' name. Okay. Okay, I'm done being crazy. Okay, I love you guys. Have an awesome Tuesday. I will be praying for you guys, and I will see you guys tomorrow on day 16 of 25 days of wisdom. And if today does not go the way you planned, as my day has not, just smile. Thank God. Everything will be okay. So, all right, I'll let you guys know if I win first place, because if you're not first, you're last. I'm competitive. I played sports my entire life. Name a sport. I've done it. I was a varsity cheerleader in college. I am competitive. So if you're not first, you're last. So I gotta be first. So pray I'm first, saints. I'm still getting deliverance. I know. I'm too competitive for my own good. I still love sports and stuff. But okay, love you guys. Have an awesome day. I'm gonna get off of here because I'll just keep talking.